Hi, guys. Yeah, she caught me walking in with the coffee.
I know. How did that even
I
happen?
don't know.
I already had it sharing.
Mm.
Hi everyone. We figured Wednesdays are probably our most liked days to go live. So we figured we would do a live this morning and see how,
This afternoon.
I guess it is afternoon already, huh? See how everybody's doing. Um, we both weren't headphones for a second. I was at least. Um, and see how you guys are all doing. Do a little catch up with everybody. I'm going to pop out the talk so I can, as you see from the title of our live, what happens when you commit to healing? Let's talk about it. When you commit to healing, I feel like the universe serves up opportunity after opportunity for you to have healing. And so definitely we've been having some opportunities lately in healing, and a lot of stuff going on both personally and obviously with that new documentary that came out. We have been having a lot of opportunity to look at a lot of things that are going on in our lives, a lot of things that are going on collectively in a collective energy. And yeah, it's been interesting. We've had some really, really, really amazing breakthroughs in the last couple of weeks that we kind of wanted to just talk to people about. And see, and just kind of get our finger on the pulse of how everyone else is doing too. So yeah, most of you guys saw our last YouTube video that I put out. That video was actually almost a week old. I had put it out on if you don't follow us on Instagram or Facebook, I don't do a lot on Facebook, just mostly whatever gets transferred from Instagram over to Facebook. But then you would have seen that video already. But all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know what? I probably should put that on YouTube too. People who don't have these other platforms might wonder where we've been. But the new documentary is called Trust Me. What's the name of it? It's on Netflix. And yeah, this has been a rough couple of weeks for us. And definitely been learning a ton about ourselves. And yeah.
So about ourselves and our interaction with everybody that we
love, that we don't love.
So yeah.
Just kidding. One of the things we say on all of our videos is a lot of people ask us, how, when you guys say start your healing work or do your healing, what does that mean? And then how do you even know what you need to heal or what you don't need to heal? And I feel like this is what we've been going through for the last couple of weeks. I feel like is a prime example. Find something that triggers you and then go from there. And I feel like that's kind of what we've been doing. I've been getting triggered by quite a few things lately. And so I feel like that's where we have had some opportunity to heal. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Lopato3 says your short brain dump video was just what I needed that day you posted it. It was little, but it was such a helpful reminder that we're all struggling, heal, and produce at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. I wasn't sure because I felt like I was like on this, I was stuck where I feel like I can't even make content. Like I don't even know how to even, like I felt brand new again. Like I don't even know how to hit the start button.
Yeah. Well, we were communicating about why we are going up against a lot of, I feel like a lot of childhood training that within our community that we're not supposed to talk about the leadership. We're not supposed to talk about things that are going on within the community. And then even smaller within our houses, within our family units.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about things that, talking about us, our childhood stuff. And we're coming up against a lot of friction, I would say. About talking out loud because it's trained within us as kids and our family not to speak out.
Yeah.
Especially to people outside of the group. And so watching a lot of these documentaries, there is the shunning that's included. If you start to speak out, people are like, yeah, we don't want to talk to you. And then we have so many people within our community and people that are like, no, we're proud of what you're doing. But it's a 50-50 of some
Yeah.
pushback and some huge support. And so we've just been reorganizing what are we talking about? And we decided to keep talking. So it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we know that we'll never make everybody happy because we get it from both sides. We get, you guys aren't being honest enough. You guys don't talk enough. You don't tell the real truth. And then we also get, you don't
tell enough.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, you talk too much. You say too much. And so we know that we'll never make everybody happy. And that's why I knew the last couple of weeks, I knew that it didn't really have anything to do with me. But for some reason, some certain people I was taking offense to, and I was getting triggered by it, and I didn't understand. So that's where I get to take a step back and look at what wound inside of me is this triggering.
Yeah.
And how do I get to work through that? And how do I get to heal some of that? And what do I get to do? One of my biggest lessons that I've learned over the last couple of weeks, so Corey and I we're both the oldest. And so we have a lot of, here, let us fix that for you. Here, let us take care of that for you. We want to make sure that our siblings are okay. Our parents are okay. We get a lot of, oldest child energy where let us just take care of that for you. And one of the biggest lessons I feel like I've been learning over the last 3 weeks is not picking up things that don't belong to me, energetic wise. Like, I'm sorry that you're having that struggle, but that doesn't belong to me and I'm not going to pick that up anymore. Where in the past, I would have picked up whatever somebody wanted to dump on my doorstep for me to handle and me to take care of. I would have just picked it up and went, oh, of course I need to take care of that. I need to handle that. You got your feelings hurt over something I said. Let me fix that for you. And now I'm just at the point where I can't, and I don't want to pick that kind of stuff up anymore. And so I think that's been one of the biggest lessons for me.
It's hard because as children or as we were required to help out,
Right.
to pick up those things, and almost to a point where, you saw that it needed to be taken care of. Why did I even have to ask? And so
Yeah.
you instinctively, as growing up in our community, you're picking up stuff, you're organizing stuff, you're helping somebody out without them necessarily even asking. And then you have to step back and go, okay, this isn't my problem. But because of the way we grew up and our age in our families, a lot of people ask too. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool to
yeah.
see.
Well, and I really want to take a second and thank all of our channel members. We really appreciate you guys being members.
Hi, England.
And we really appreciate everyone. I mean, I'm seeing some people here from England. I'm seeing it's crazy, the people that we tend to reach around the world.
Well, and I saw my sister on here. You finished the 4 Agreements. Awesome. Good.
I know.
Yeah, it's a good book. I really, really enjoyed it. So I hope you liked it too. But I'd like to maybe eventually
we're going to do a book club on that for sure.
It's one of my favorite books. So
yep. And I'm going to change this so that
I feel like every time I read it, I learn something new. So that's what
and we did not listen to that on the drive at all. We, as most of you know, we went to Montana over the weekend and then came back. We got back late Monday night, and we had some really good connection. And there was a couple times, and we really won't talk that much about our experience up there, but I was just so grateful. Like whenever I feel like things get really hard, it's when I feel like I'm just going to blow or lose my top, then I feel like I look to Corey and I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being like a place where I can softly land and I don't have to feel that angry. Thank you so much.
What? I feel the same way. So
thanks. I know. So we had some really
we ground each other very well.
Yeah.
So
well, and we have always taken our kids up there with us. And so this is our, maybe 3rd trip up there by ourselves, and where we can just connect and talk and discuss like all the things we've learned about ourselves and how do we show up for people. And so that's been a really great opportunity for us to do
New
that.
experience for us. It's pretty awesome.
It is. Yeah.
Love having our kids. We definitely had some nostalgia that they weren't there, but really enjoyed just our time
I know,
together.
right?
So
I know.
it was
Thank you,
amazing hanging
Elizabeth
out
the
with our
Roberts, for becoming a member. We really appreciate that.
Oh, yes.
We're going to try to get to all of our member comments today.
Yeah.
Because we really do appreciate you guys being part of our channel.
Yes.
Let's see, where did that perfect timing? I'm the oldest, and my sister's decisions are taking her on a hard road, and I feel responsible to fix things for her. But she's 55 and I'm 56. I feel guilty when I can't. Thank you too.
Yeah.
That's some huge things we've been going through the last week. Is how do we not pick up things that don't belong to us, and because I don't always know how to even make that determination, because everything is, if my parents couldn't do it, it was my responsibility to do it. If my mom was busy or my dad was busy, it was my responsibility to handle it. And so I don't always know the difference in being able to pick up other people's problems and not help them with it or not. And sometimes I don't even know what to do myself, but I gotta, try to figure it out. So,
well, and one of the things that we were talking on the way back down, which was amazing. There's times in our lives, both of us, when you trip and fall, you're watching, you want to help, you want to do stuff, but you can't take on the responsibility. But it's interesting because I was discussing experiences in my life where I have tripped and fell, and I feel like I've been at the bottom. And I have a community of people. This is when I was younger, and there were the very righteous. There were those that were kind of scorned because they had done it. And I was so amazed when I tripped and fell, who kind of came and helped me back up,
right,
and was kind to me. And it tended to be those people that had also tripped and fell. And those that hadn't had experiences like that in their life sat up high and mighty and judged. And so I was so thankful for that. And so I do want to be there for people to help them back up, tell them, hey, life does this to you every once in a while. You got to get back up, encouraging them,
kicking us in the teeth hard.
Doing all of that stuff. And I've been so thankful to those people who showed up in my life that I would have never expected to show up into my life.
Yeah.
And so this was an amazing experience. We were looking through kind of new eyes on who the people are that love us and support us and everything like that. So
I think it's funny too, when you start to make noise online, which apparently we are doing. Then people come out of the woodworks. I'm sure that Mary and Christine Brown felt that way about us when we came up and we started talking. It's like, oh, these people are coming out of the woodworks and talking like they know us, and they don't. And so I feel like we kind of got a dose of that, where people that we have literally not had any contact with I have some siblings that I have completely removed from my life because of the level of toxicity that they have. And yet they have a way of presenting things as, I just love her so much. I'm just concerned about her. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned. And yet that's not where their intention really truly lies. Their intention is very self-serving. And I have, when that bleeds into other relationships that do matter to me, that are important to me, that's where I don't know how to have that distinction, I guess. That's where some of my triggering comes from, is because I have some relationships that are very important to me and that I feel like I've tried to nurture and I've tried to love and take care of. And then I have these other relationships that I literally have nothing to do with. And so to have those types of people show back up in our lives after, literally one of my siblings, I have not had a relationship or any kind of verbal communication with him in over 10 years. And even when my brother died, we did not say a word to each other. And before that was a good 5 years. With his wife, 20 years. I've had no contact with these people because the level of toxicity. And then they just show up magically when we start making noise online, and now they know us and they know everything about us, and they have to spread that gossip as much as they can. And that's where I get triggered. That's where I don't quite know how to work through some of those feelings, because the relationships that
Mhm.
they're affecting are ones that are important to me. And I think where I was getting hurt was like, do you honestly think that I would do that to you? Do you think that that would happen? And so, yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks of learning um, some really deep lessons about myself. Yeah, I wanted to get back up here to this question.
Not the most righteous people show up and have some of the biggest love and support I've ever seen, and
Yeah.
within the community that they would be considered not righteous people. And so it's amazing to see the true colors of different people.
And it is hard too, especially when these people, this particular sibling that I have, it's hard because they have a lot of influence over our family because they're a mouth, they talk a lot.
Mhm.
And so we're not getting invited to family events that I would genuinely like to go to. We're not being included in certain things because of the gossip that some of these family members are out spreading and talking about. And that's hard, that's painful for me when I it's hard to feel left out. And I, especially when I am being blamed, I've had a lot of people criticize me lately, and I've said to them, "Did you even watch that podcast?" And they're like, "Absolutely not. We don't watch your crap." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, so you have
Mhm.
very high opinions of what's happening and you're not even watching our content. You're just going off of a gossip that you've heard." And so that's where some of my yeah,
Well, then I gotta do a shout out to your brother that's actually watching it, I guess, and to get to know all of the knowledge.
yeah,
So
the one who likes to talk as
thanks
much
for
shit on
watching our
us as he
stuff.
possibly can
So
and hasn't had
appreciate you.
anything to do with our lives in well over 15 years. So, but even when we were going through our divorce, he was the one who had all the inside scoop and knew everything about us and was out there just, out of the genuineness of his heart, letting the whole rest of the family know what was going on with our
Well,
divorce.
and I love that because it's not just I feel like that there's you kind of see it, uh, when Robin was talking, that they come in as just genuine. They're looking out for the best interest of that person. They're so kind-hearted, and that is that is a unique that's well, that's part of our community. There
Yeah.
are most people who are great at, yeah, gossiping and telling, their story out of kindness, out of love. You're down on the ground, you fell, and they'll come up and kick you because they love you.
I know.
Where somebody that they were like, "No, that person is a bad person. They don't love you." They're the ones that'll actually come and help
But
you
this
back
is how
up.
we're trained.
Yeah,
We are
from
trained
childhood.
in this culture to be abused. Our entire lives, we're trained to be abused. And look at that
Mhm.
as, I'm doing that because I love you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
doing that because I care about you. And that's where I really struggle, is because it's a constant, we in our hearts go, "Oh, of course they wouldn't try to genuinely abuse us. They they would never purposely do that." And yet that's what we don't even realize what abuse is, because that's how we were trained to be from birth. And go ahead.
if I didn't love you, I wouldn't let you have an opinion, or I wouldn't. Yeah,
I do love you
yeah,
because I'm allowing you
yeah,
to have an opinion, and you're
yeah,
a woman. I
and
mean, come on, look at the grace I'm giving you. I'm allowing you to have an opinion as a woman.
but you need to be obedient. I'm
Right.
giving you these 2 choices. Well, I'd like to choose item number 4. Nope, nope, because if I allowed you to do that, I wouldn't love you. So,
Yeah. And that is another, the levels of abuse, that even though some people have left this way of life, it is funny too, because I have always been a people pleaser my whole life. I know that I have been.
yeah.
And I have always tried to be the peacemaker, try to work things out. And yet some of these people who are causing as much grief as they can right now, especially in my family, are ones that have been always against the religion. They've always been against what my dad and mom have done. They've always been against, they've been some of the biggest shit talking fools I have ever seen my whole lives. And now all of a sudden they're the bridge. They're the ones that it makes no sense to me. And it makes no sense to me that some of my family members put such confidence in the words of some of my siblings. But
Well,
yeah,
and it's that I've been analyzing, it's that battle between, wait a minute, I agree with you,
yeah,
but we're not supposed to talk about personal stuff within the family as a protection for some
right,
reason. That's a training that we've had since we were little kids, not to talk about our
right,
families to the community, not talk about the community to the outside world. That has just been pounded over and over and over in our heads. And so, even though we don't believe it now, I don't believe in that religion. I don't do this, that training as little children not to talk about what went on is something that we're even working through going, okay, yeah,
right.
how much do we talk about?
What do we
What
say?
do we say?
Because it's
How do
never
we
our
point out?
intention to get on here and just tear people apart. It
No,
never
but
is. One of the things that we did before we went to Montana, like the night before we went, we watched The Count of Monte Cristo, and we've been talking a lot about this.
mhm,
And I was saying to Corey, I first watched that movie when I was 12 years old. And I resonated with that movie so much because I feel like in my life, and in this way of life, in polygamy, there is always someone out there who hates you with a smile on their face. They want your demise. They want you to fall. They want you to lose your family. All of these things. Um, and that's how they communicate with you. And I have felt that from being a very, very small child. I have felt like there's just always some people in the background just waiting to see if I fall, and then they're just going to stomp on me as fast as they can. And this one particular sibling that I have is very, very much that way. And so I thought, how fitting was it that we happenstance just to come on this movie on TV, and it's like we hadn't watched it in years,
yeah, it's been a
and it
while.
just happened to come on. And obviously I feel like the universe is always conspiring in our favor. When you put your mind to something, the universe says, let me see what I can do to help you. I
Mhm.
fully believe that. And so I feel like here we were, some big things came up right before we went to Montana, and all of a sudden this show comes on, and it reminds me, here he is just trying to live his life. His best friend is the one who wants his demise and wants to undermine him. And I feel like in this religion, this is what I grew up watching happen all the time,
Mhm.
especially amongst the women. Well, I can't even say especially
Yeah.
among, it's the men too. It's like, I just want your demise so that I can have your wife.
Yeah.
I want you to fall so that the guy in charge is going to give me your women. And so it is, we grew up in a society
Yeah.
where they say one thing out of one side of their mouth with a smile on their face, and then they are completely different on the other side.
Mhm.
And so there, it's very rare that you find somebody that says what they actually mean and mean what they actually say. Yeah.
That the I love it because it shows that the very beginning of it, he was very naive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he has a teacher come in, and I'm missing some puzzle pieces, but
Yeah.
comes in and says, "Hey," starts asking deeper questions. That's and having open communication. I feel like in our first marriage, because of trainings when we were a kid,
Yeah.
we didn't always have open communication. We didn't
Right.
always go as deep. I felt like with me, I had things that were still hidden. No, we don't talk about that, or we don't go that deep. I never asked you in our first marriage anything about your rituals that you did in the thing, because
And I didn't share them openly.
yeah, in our training, that was none of my business. And here I'm married to you, and I still can't have a full conversation, a full honest
Right.
conversation. And it feels like then we all of a sudden try to start having a full honest conversation, and people are going, wait a minute, you can't talk about that. But truth, truth shines.
Right.
If you can't talk about something in there, is that something that you're trying to hide because you're embarrassed of it, because you're ashamed of it, whatever it is? Let's just talk about it, have that open, honest communication
Right.
so that we can heal and so that we can have a whole world who can just talk to each other instead of
Backstab each other
backstabbing
with
each other,
smiles on your faces.
demise. And so it was nice. We got watched that movie, got our minds prepared, went up there, and all of a sudden looking through a more uh,
Started wondering what puzzle
discernment
pieces we
we're
were missing.
missing, and we started seeing them all come into place
Right.
and went, "Holy cow, that's amazing!" Instead of going up there naive and blind. And
Yeah.
so, as we've been talking, we become more clear on what we want and who those people around us are that are
Yeah.
amazing.
Who has your back? And what's
And they
unfortunate,
circled and loved us up
they
there.
really
So
did. And we did feel very loved and
yeah,
very nurtured. And what's sad about cults in general, I feel like, is when you have somebody who comes in with clear and honest intentions, they believe everyone else is doing the same. And so they are the most susceptible to
yeah,
abuse. And so here, I know some women who came in and they were like, no, everybody wants what's best for sister wives. I want what's best for my sister wife. I want my, and then you get someone who comes in with nefarious intentions,
mhm,
and they come in and they take advantage of the people who come in and they don't, when you don't have nefarious intentions, you don't always see nefarious intentions in other people,
mhm,
because that's not where you operate, that's not where you come from. And so you don't always see it until it hits you in the face. And I feel like that's kind of what has happened to me over the last little bit, is I didn't see some of it coming, because
mhm,
that's not my intention. It's not where I've operated from. And in our second marriage, that is one of the things that we have talked about, is the honest, open communication that we share with each other about everything.
yeah,
And we have just learned to be a lot more integratable,
and no
because
secrets. We don't
again,
have
we don't even
secrets.
know that we're
Mm-mm.
not being
Yeah,
integratable, because that's how
that's
we
how we
were
were
raised
trained.
and trained to be.
Yeah,
I do want to get
I
back
like
to this comment.
that one
It's
there too.
Yeah, it's a comment that Elizabeth made as our brand new member. Thank you. It says, just made my first independent purchase without my abuser telling me yes or no. I love you guys. You're doing more to help in my healing than I can express.
Oh,
Thank you
thanks.
so much. And congratulations. I know how that
Mhm.
feels to make an independent decision. And because yeah, we were not allowed to do that. I remember the day that through my first marriage, I was not legally married, but I did file for a legal divorce so that I could have legal custody of my children. And that is one thing in this cult that a lot of people don't realize, is the legalities of everything. The day that my divorce was finalized and stamped and sealed, I remember driving down the street and just taking the
Mhm.
biggest breath that I could, make a decision without consulting him. And he could never tell me what to do again. He felt like he could,
Mhm.
because he felt like he still owned me, but I knew he
And still
couldn't.
does.
And yeah, and still does. But I knew that I couldn't, or I knew that I could do whatever I wanted, and he had no recourse over it. And so I am very grateful. I understand that decision. So I
Yeah.
want to make sure that we acknowledge your first comment there, Elizabeth. Thank you. Again, thank you for becoming a member, because
Feels like a weight lifted off your chest.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Katie says, I wonder if it's something in the air. The last few weeks have felt so emotionally heavy.
Mhm.
I do believe
I
there
do
is a
too.
collective energy happening in the world right now. And that's why we want to share our we want to share it live with you guys as we're going through it, so that you can
Mhm.
see that we're not just blowing smoke saying do your healing, when we're not willing to do it ourselves. And I had a lot of opportunities this week to just blow my mind, and I didn't. I feel like I was actually told Corey how proud I was of myself, how I handled
Mhm.
myself. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I have not done healing previously, because I felt very attacked. I have the last couple of weeks. I feel like it's an interesting, and I feel like it's a collective energy too, but very much so individual, where people want to be, it's almost like there's an energy going around where people want to be victimized, or they want to be they want to misunderstand. There's not clarity. There's not, hey, what are your true intentions? What are your true and so it's like there's just assumptions. And in the four agreements, that is one of the agreements: do not make assumptions. And so I feel like that's an interesting energy that's been going around, because when we don't seek for clarity and we seek for misunderstanding, that leads to a lot of assumption, that leads to a lot of hurt, that leads to a lot of separation. And that's what I said in my brain dump video, is the separation energy that we're experiencing right now as a collective whole, I feel like too. Yeah, if any of you are
thanks,
Aries,
Elizabeth.
we're hitting some astrological stuff right now. And I am very much an Aries rising sign. I'm a sun sign of Gemini, and I'm an Aries rising. So I was very angry when I found that out, which would fit my Aries energy. But I was very angry because I was like, this isn't fair. I don't want to be an Aries. Aries are dicks. but that's definitely my fire sign in me for sure. Oh, I love this. Thank you, Jody, for that super chat. Says Pop Psych just had Christine and David on. It was an awesome show. I love her growth, and David is so supportive and adds a lot to the conversation. Please watch it. We did. We actually watched it on our way home from Montana. Yeah. It was amazing. They did a lot of they answered some questions. It was funny. I loved what she said about my dad, that he's very political. He's very much of a politician, is what she said.
And that it was the perfect way to say it too. It's the perfect way to say it. The most diplomatic way to say it about him.
Right.
He is definitely a politician. He has a lot of amazing characteristics of a political person.
Yep.
So tells you what you want to hear, or what he feels like you need to hear, or want to hear. And then later on, you're like, wait a minute. That's not quite accurate, is it? So, yeah. He's definitely a politician. I laughed when I heard that version of it.
Right. So. When I loved, thank you. The Count of Monte Cristo is the show that we were talking about.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about the Count of Monte Cristo is he didn't understand why he was being persecuted. He didn't understand. And so he had all of these years in the prison to put the puzzle pieces back together and figure out what was the motive, what was the motivation behind these people to talk about him like this and to cause his life to be destroyed. And then he came back with anger and vengeance in his heart, and he wanted to get revenge. And then towards the end, he realizes that revenge and vengeance isn't really the goal in life. And I felt that way all weekend long. I remember there's a couple moments where I had
just go.
I could have had immediate rage. And I looked at Corey and I was like, I need this done. I need to walk away right now, so that because that Aries in me is coming out, and it's coming out hard. And then we were able to just make the choice to just walk away. So, I very much understand, very much. And I would highly recommend that show, The Count of Monte Cristo. I watched the old one. I think it had Richard Chamberlain in it, but I really enjoy the new one. I think it came out in 2002.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
So
it has Henry Cavill as a young kid in it as the son. Yeah, I wanted to.
This one?
No, the granddaughter ones.
I teach my daughter and granddaughter, you can tell anything that happens in this house. Adults who want you to keep secrets are not safe adults.
Absolutely.
It's funny because my oldest son was at one of my other mother's homes, and some stuff happened, and she told him, as long as you guys don't tell your parents, and promise never to do this again, and I won't tell your parents either. And I was angry. I was furious. So the first thing he does is come home and say, she told me not to tell you this, but this is what happened.
We're like, oh, okay.
And then I got to make a phone call to my dad and say, if your wife ever tells my child to keep a secret from me again, I will beat her. Sounds like some of my siblings, some of people are just emotional vampires, or in your case, righteous emotional vampires.
That's the best part. That's the best part of it. the righteousness behind it,
Yeah.
the looking out for your best interest type thing. And we grow up with that. And then all of a sudden I started to figure out not everything that they're doing is actually for our best interest.
Yeah.
It's actually damaging. And
Well,
so
and
we're going to change that.
one of my brothers was such an angel, and he said to me, and I spent a couple days crying over this, because he said to me, I'm going to make sure that you're protected at this event that we went to. If our dad even slightly gets out of line, I'm going to have him removed, because I want you to know that you're protected. And oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I hadn't felt that kind of energy from one of my brothers in a long time. I know I have I have 26 brothers, and I have a couple of them that I know would literally lay down their life for me. I know that. Yep. But there's more that wouldn't, and there's more that don't care how their sisters are treated. And so that was very healing for me to have him say that. What?
They're kind of politicians.
They're they're very much politicians in the way that they handle things.
Very similar to another politician we know. So that is awesome. Yep.
They follow in their father's footsteps for not wanting to be anything like their father. Yep. They're very much like their father. And I think it's really sad. Yep. I think it's heartbreaking.
He trained him well.
Yeah. Too. Gemini 2 here was Sagittarius as my fire. So, okay, that's funny that you say that, because I always wanted Sagittarius fire, not Aries fire, because I felt like Sagittarius fire is a lot more feminine and in somewhat seductive, or there's just like a mystery, or, where Aries fire is just like in your face, let's go. I'm very much in your face, let's go. I don't have a lot of seductiveness to me. I don't have a lot of, it's like what you see is what you get. I don't have a lot of that mystery or anything like that. So I don't get a lot of that Sagittarius. Awesome. But I was like, if I have to be a fire sign, I mean, thank God I have a little bit of fire sign in me. But if I have to be a fire sign, then I want to be a seductive, sultry fire sign, not just this kick your ass, ram in your face Aries sign. But here I am.
Thanks, Lamb. That's a good one.
What did you say?
Yeah. Right there. Yep.
Yeah. Corey, next time anyone tells you they're looking out for your own good, ask them if it's breezy up there on their cross. Oh my gosh.
That is brilliant.
That is brilliant. Thank you. Line. Especially coming from the society that we come from. That's what I said. I'm like, there's a lot of self-righteous, that energy is exhausting. And for people who never want to have anything to do with the cult that they grew up in, and they fought so hard against it, are the people who are coming after us the most for speaking out publicly, because you just don't put your family's shit out there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if I had said that they would gasp, because it would be so sacrilegious to them. That's awesome. I'm going to actually use that line.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Let's see. Hello to Mel and Corey. I'm reading Triumph from Carol Jessup. She mentions a tall, wonderful lady from the Salt Lake area belonged to a different polygamous, different leader, not LDS. She came and taught them. Yeah, that would be my mom. Mm-hmm. Yep. She refers to my mom in her book. In fact, we even just talked about that. I think we talked about that with Jaden when we did Jaden's podcast, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my mom. She did go in. In fact, Sam and Melissa were there from growing up in polygamy. And my mom had talked to Sam to ask Sam if he remembers her coming in there. But Sam's a little bit younger than the age group that my mom would have been. But yeah, she used to go down into all of the different polygamous communities and teach a lot of different polygamous communities.
She taught a class in the FLDS in Arizona for the women. Okay, cool.
Yep. She went in there and taught. Oh yeah. Nope. She says, oh, I thought she was referring to you, Mel. How lovely to have mentioned your mother. Yeah, no, it's actually my mom. So my mom had a health food store. She started when I was 14. Her uncle was a world-renowned natural path. And he taught her the things that she learned from him. She basically learned healing. And yeah, so he taught her all that stuff. And then she would go into the different communities to teach the different women about some of the herbs and things like that in their different my mom at one point was 6 feet. And so now
Mhm.
she's shrunk a little bit as in her older age, but at one point she was 6 feet.
Yep.
Dang it. There was something I was
She's
just
tall.
going to say about that. It's interesting. Okay. So we have been talking a lot about, one of the things that has really come up for me in the last little bit about healing, is asking for help. And before we went to Montana, we both had a very deep meditation,
Mhm. Preparation. So,
preparation
yeah,
before we went up there. And one of the things that came up for me during that is that I used to rely on spiritual guides or spiritual help, or, when I was younger and I was going through some of the abuse that I went through, I felt like I had spiritual guides that were there helping me. And I've kind of moved away from a lot of that. And that came up for me really big. So I felt like I was able to ask for a lot of that. When we did our ayahuasca experiences, one of the things that came up for me was, you're a healer. And I thought to myself, that's so ridiculous. Like, how I do mortgages. I'm so left
Mhm.
brained. It's unreal. And so I never understood that. And I feel like the more we go through our channel, the more I've appreciated, um, the opportunity to explore more of that healing and becoming more aware of asking others for help, in the
Mhm.
spiritual realm or even in the physical realm of asking other people for help. Because I feel like we get so independent. We
Yeah.
ask each other. I feel
Yeah.
like we depend on each other a lot, but we don't ask other people.
Ask people outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Um, let's see. Let's see. That's so wild. My grandmother, who has raised me, was very homeopathic meds. Yeah. We do everything natural that we can, but we use medical if we have to. Um, and so, yeah. So now I feel like, as we go through our channel, and again, I would say 999 out times out of 1,000, the comments are very positive towards us. It's just that one that will sometimes trigger me,
Mhm.
and it just depends on who it comes from and what is saying. I've been getting triggered lately, and so I've been having a lot of opportunity to grow. But you kind of have too,
Mhm.
a little
Yeah.
bit. So, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. We learned all the it wasn't necessarily we learned how to use a lot of uh, herbs and things in our daily life up there in Montana, just because we didn't have access to a lot of, uh, I guess, drugs or things like that. So we had a lot. But yeah, when we got injured, we would go get help
Yeah.
at the hospital.
Yeah, Corey's got a nice big gash on his eye right here from
Yeah.
that. Ended up getting a stitch.
How half of us survived up there as
We talk about
kids,
that all the
I
time.
have no idea.
With some
We
of my brothers up
lived
there,
dangerous.
because my brother that got married is from another mother. And yeah, we were laughing and joking about how half of us even survived to get to this
Mhm.
point, because if you looked at our childhood, we're lucky that we made it through alive at times.
Yeah.
So we laughed a lot about a lot of that. I mean, it's really not funny if you actually stop to think about it, because it's actually very traumatic, but we do laugh a little bit about it. And just a reminder, we are going to be doing a video on, the Trust Me documentary. There is so much in that documentary that we wanted to talk about. We had downloaded it so we could watch it on our drive, because there's a lot of the drive that we don't
Yeah.
get signal. And we don't, or we can get signal, but we can't watch videos or do anything like that. We just can get cell phone signals. So we had downloaded it, and we were watching it on the way up there, and I got really emotional watching quite a bit of it, because I related so much to some of the abuse that went on in there. And so, go ahead.
Driving in the car again. Oh, I'm not as loud. Okay. I'm going to be speaking up louder.
So we definitely want to do, we'll be filming that tomorrow. We've been trying to film it, but since we got back, we've been so busy that we haven't had a chance to do we haven't had a chance to film it, but I have a lot to say about it. And I'm going to attach, there's a TikTok creator who did the best video on it this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw her into the show notes, her TikTok. If you have it, great. If you don't, I'm sorry, I can't just I don't know that there's a way that I can just share it, but she did such a great video on content creators who don't know what they're talking about, but they throw shit out there and could have ruined the entire documentary. So I'm going to throw that in the comment in the show notes.
Can I say her name?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, slightly.
Slightly high. Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the content creator that
No. Hi.
Yeah, Slightly High Historian is her name.
Amazing.
Yeah,
got such a good laugh of your stuff. I enjoy her content. So
yeah, we went to lunch with her a couple, not quite 2 months ago. I think we sat in 4 hours. We sat and chatted with her. She was so amazing. I just loved. This is before she headed down to Short Creek again, and yeah, she really calls out. She calls out Without a Crystal Ball as being just a complete shit show for what she is, a fake and a fraud, and creating content out of nowhere. And so I love the way she makes this video. So I'm going to attach it into the show notes so that people can see it. What are you gonna say?
Nothing. Yeah, I want to watch that. We need to watch the show again so we can take notes. But
yeah,
one of the interesting things is how Sam Bateman came to be a leader or a prophet among their group, and it had a lot to do with shunning.
Yeah.
So,
well, we talked about the psychology of it.
Yeah, and I'm like, when you're shunned or told that you're being damned to hell, you can either accept it or you can search for another prophet who will bring you back into the light, or tell you, okay, give me a couple wives, couple daughters, and you can have heaven again. That's the insane part about growing up in such a controlled society and controlled mentality. When you are now being shunned or damned, you're looking for salvation somewhere else. And so they provided that salvation. He provided that salvation for these families, that the rest of the community say, no, you're being damned. So shunning created Samuel Bateman. So, which is
absolutely
amazing.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right.
Reminds me of Tom Green. Yeah.
It absolutely reminds me of Tom Green. But he's a lot more charismatic than Tom Green was, which is interesting because he's so dumb. Like, you just look at him and you're like, why would anybody follow this? But in this society, if you have enough of kahunas to go against what the prophet has said, then you must have enlightenment. Then you must have, then
in that way, if you go against him and disobedient, some people are shunned or kicked out and just go their other way. But a lot of people will say, well, he was doing this wrong. We're the new prophet. They make that stand that they're the new prophet, and they take people with them that, well, we're being shunned just like you. Let's go and create this new community of, it's insane to me. I saw him. I've seen Tom Green. I'm like, who would follow? But
when you've been isolated your entire life, and then this is all you see, of course it is. Thank you so much, Sherry. Without a Crystal Ball. Yeah, we'll just flat out say it. Without a Crystal Ball, she damn near blew up that entire documentary. She had to be served legal papers for a cease and desist. And when we first started
the documentary, the prosecution,
she exposed the safe house.
Against putting everything together to be able to prosecute him and get him and them in jail and stop the abuse. And
again, made up stuff that is not accurate. And she was warned. So we were talking, when we first started our channel, we were very harassed by this content creator. And Christina Marie reached out to me, and we spoke, her and Toga and I spoke on the phone for 2.5 hours. And she's been very supportive of me and very supportive of our channel since we started. And she's always telling me, if you need anything, please, you just reach out to me. I'm here. I will help you. I'll do whatever I can for you. So I've appreciated her support in our
Yeah,
channel
she
too.
has been amazing.
Yeah, she just has been. So when we went to lunch with his, slightly high historian, it's slightly high historian or history, and I think it's slightly high historian is her name.
It
I
is.
don't know. I just know her first name. And then yeah, it was an interesting lunch because we were able to compare a lot of notes, because she's been a content creator way longer than we have, and she's dealt with the fakeness of, or just the made up stories that some of these content creators do. And so it's really hard to watch that. And someone also had asked, would you ever reach out to some of the girls in the documentary?
Oh, thanks,
Yes, I
Kathy.
actually already have. And so if we'll see if we can get some of them to come and talk to us about it. Again, I just don't
Yeah.
feel like super we're not interviewers, but we will talk to them and we will have a chat. We're more of chatters than we are interviewers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
I only want
we
to.
were waiting for her to be able to expose what Without a Crystal Ball did, because
Yeah.
it was pretty brutal. It was pretty,
Waiting to
and
get all the legal stuff. It made me interested in the news when he was going to jail. I'm like, good for them.
yeah,
So,
we thought it was going to get called out in the documentary. We were
yeah.
told it was going to get called out in the document, her specifically, but it didn't end up making it. Must have hit the
Yeah.
cutting room floor.
Thanks. We were pretty excited when we hit 20,000 too. Yep. I guess 50,000 is the next
Oh
goal.
yeah,
But yeah, we kind of did a little bit of a celebration. Uh, Notes to self, Melanie is now a bigger cult leader than,
oh
or
gosh,
has
don't say
more
that.
followers than her dad does.
No,
I
no.
wouldn't say a cult leader, but has more followers than AUB does. So twice as many. So
Right,
that's
there you go.
amazing if their
They
numbers
come
are
here for you
accurate.
because you're hilarious.
If their numbers are accurate. Oh,
But yeah, somebody says, I just assumed Corey's family got married in Montana. Nope, it was
yeah.
one of my brothers. And
It,
I've got several family
mhm.
members who live up there, several of my siblings that live up there. And so we drove up there for that.
It's interesting. The core of my family is up there, kind of like the family home and stuff like that. But a good majority of my siblings live down here next to us or around. And so when there are uh, weddings, yes, there are some weddings that go on up there, but it's about 50-50. We have the weddings down here. And so, no, it's the same with you.
Yeah.
She has family that's moved up to that same area that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so when they're having those marriages, either go up there, come down here, or
Yeah.
some down in Mexico, I guess,
And
that
out
I've
of
never been
respect,
invited to.
they don't want us to talk about it on our channel. So
Yeah,
out of
which is
respect
great.
to my brother, I'm not going to talk about it. We will, however, be talking about some of the lessons that we learned, because
Mhm.
there was some deep growth that we went through this weekend, and we'll be talking about that more.
Just want to say they're amazing human beings and love him and his wife. So super
Yeah.
proud of them. So
Yeah. And we did stay with Corey's family while we were up there, because that's usually who we do stay with, is Corey's family. And where we had so much of my family up there this weekend, then yeah, it's just easier to stay with Corey's family. His sisters are amazing and they take such good care of us. And after a pretty rough weekend, it was pretty hard for me emotionally. I feel a little battered and bruised. We played games with Corey's sisters, and I just
and got
a little
nurtured for
yeah,
it
I
was
feel
awesome.
I
They
don't
were
think they know how much we
amazing
needed to just be
food.
loved on all day on Sunday. They just loved on us, and they fed us. They
Yeah.
fed us like some
So
good, just soul food
yep.
that they had made and caught. Like, I think, oh, maybe they didn't catch that meat themselves, but it was just, yeah, we definitely needed that. And then we got up on Monday morning and headed home, and it's an 8-hour drive. It's about 8 hours. And we usually will stop and eat. And when it's just the two of us, when we had our kids, we had a huge Suburban, and we had a TV that would flip down out of the ceiling, and our kids figured out how to hook up an
games.
Xbox and they would just play games and we just would push through the drive. But now that it's the two of us, we stop and smell the roses, if you will, and take our time getting up there and take our time getting back. So what is?
Sam Bateman was so stupid, but his pride was his downfall. It is that they think, well, we're the mouthpiece of God, so God will protect us, and we can say, and then they even believe that whatever comes out of their mouth is God's word, and so yeah, they can catch themselves. And so maybe it was just God wanted him to get caught. That might have been it. So let's let him say stupid stuff. I'll talk to him and be stupid so that he gets caught.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's awesome.
um,
Yeah, I'm always amazed when people like him float up to the top of leadership. So
what's interesting is I actually so I was talking to Slightly High historian about this. I was saying I actually came through a Samuel Bateman. He was part of the 8-hour meeting that happened when back in one of the many splits and one of the many apostasies of the AUB. And in polygamy in general, Samuel Bateman was one of the main head dudes there. And I came through that Bateman line. So I said, I thought it was funny, but he is dumb as a box of rocks. But again, not too dumb that he couldn't milk people for the amount of money he did. And that stupid white leather jacket that he wore the entire time, I wanted to smack it right off of him. But we're going to make we're going to make some videos about the psychology behind why some of these women followed him and why some of these people did what he told them to do and how he was able to, there's a lot that didn't get put in the documentary that they barely brushed across. That was really tragic that Christina had mentioned before. And we had learned some of the backstory and it's very tragic. No, yeah. What?
Well, just within a lot of these communities, he was trying to be stylish, I think, but yeah, we were always teased when we were growing up that by cousins that weren't part of the AUB and stuff like that, that we were about 40 or 50 years behind in style. And we probably were.
We absolutely were.
Yeah. So
the 80s came, the 90s came about. We were still stuck in the 80s. Yeah. I think a couple generations of cousin lovin' created Sammy B.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what was fun is to watch that. No, it wasn't fun, but to watch that documentary and then go to Montana and then be able to have discussions with our family up there who still live and believe this way or don't believe this way. I'm sorry. And, have those conversations. Gosh, we had some good laughs but at the same, it's so tragic because literally these people's whole lives are exposed.
Sam was giving me some serious Cody Brown vibes, jacket cars. Yeah. And it's because, I guess we didn't get to watch much TV, but I remember going over to, some people within the community that had TVs and they were watching the Fonzie,
right,
and having the jacket on and everything. And I think a lot of these guys grow up watching that and think that that's cool. So he was just putting on the white Fonzie jacket so that he was showing he was the righteous Fonzie in the group, which makes him cool because it's cool.
Well, and his arrogance is just what got him cultish 444. We should make a video like that. That's awesome. Funny. Welcome, Looped Tape. It's good to see you again. One Love 1978 says, good to see you guys back. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I loved your chat with Mary. God love that woman. I felt Cody and Robin treated her horribly. Yeah. Sam and Melissa are doing a great job critiquing the Sam Bateman documentary. Yeah. You guys should do a joint video on it. Yeah, we probably could. Sam, coming from the FLDS, has a great perspective, as you already know. I could definitely reach out to Sam and Melissa.
Yeah. Especially because of the shunning. I would say the AUB had a lighter version of shunning. They considered themselves that they really didn't shun. They would just um, now you're not cool enough to be on the phone tree or come around or hang out. So they didn't feel like that they shunned to the extent, but they still did.
I have felt more shunned this
Yeah,
weekend than I have felt ever in my whole life.
yeah.
And I felt pretty beat up.
And I
A-
love the
And I think that's what's hard for me is that I haven't always experienced that.
the shunning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because in the AUB, your family does not shun you the way that they do in the FLDS.
yeah,
And so to go through that level, that experience was, it felt devastating for me. I'll be honest.
yeah.
I was very devastated over a lot of it.
We got samples of it growing up. And then I love that the AUB's like, we don't shun. We do not do the shunning of it. But you do, because you go lock doors, lock people out of the church because you don't want them to go in there and pray to their God.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do shunning, and you just call it they were disobedient. So we've just got to
Yeah.
guide you back to the thing. So you can come to church when you kiss the ring.
Yeah.
So, but you're not welcome in our church that you guys worked for and helped build your whole life. You can't come in here because we're locking you out until you kiss a ring of the prophet. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, yeah. This weekend,
that's what they do.
even just in the last 10 days, I would say
Yeah.
it's been heart wrenching for me because I love my family and I don't like feeling like I've hurt people. So what we're going to say.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Tammy. She says, but what kind of mother lets their little girls go with that man? Some were as young as 9. That's where I think, so when we make our video, we'll go into some of the psychology about why
Yeah.
we believe that, why I don't quite understand that either. Again, when they interviewed the brother who had left, and even the brother was like, what? Corey and I have even talked about that,
Yeah.
where I was like, if you sat there in a room and you watched your little sister, your 9-year-old little sister kissing on a 40-year-old man, what would you do? I mean, I would literally, I would kill him right then.
Yeah.
I would not, I don't know that I would be able to.
But it takes a lot of training. It is. There's so much training and so much shaming within the communities. I could see the conversation where because you're trained and told to respect your parents.
Mhm.
And so as that young man is seeing this, he might have went, because you're supposed to go to your parents to kind of go up the chain
Yeah.
of command. And my dad was military, so we had to go up a chain of command. But I can see the conversation of him saying, "Hey, this is wrong, Dad. She shouldn't be over there." Well, this is my child. Uh, when you have your own children, raise your own children any way you want, but I'm in charge of her. The Lord has told me you don't get a say in this. And it is. You
And
don't
we've literally been told
get a
this by our
say
parents. Both
un
of us have been.
until those children make a decision themselves that, "Okay, I don't want to be obedient anymore." They're going to be obedient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They feel like that these parents, these righteous men are doing what's best for everybody. And so, yeah, he's might have went and said that and then been put right back into his place, and it's hard to break out of that place to where you're going, "No, this is absolutely wrong."
Right.
It's we were trained, uh, again, I didn't know about, institutions that you could go outside. You were told not to talk to anybody outside. You were told definitely not go talk to the cops. If you felt something is wrong, you talk to leadership, and then the leadership would tell you why it was okay
Right.
and that you need to keep your nose out of it. It was none of your business. And so you feel helpless.
Yeah.
You really do.
And
So,
again, I feel like that kind of goes along with some of this is where now we as grown adults
yeah,
pick up things that don't belong to us
Yeah.
because we want to protect our siblings. We want to, and energetically, I say we pick up things that don't belong to us because we see the abuse happening, and we want to step in and help them, and then we get told, you don't understand, you don't know, you're not. I mean, if I could have $1 for every time I was patted on the head saying, you don't understand what the Lord wants, you need to take a step back.
Here's another part of that too. It's easier for you as a young man, an older brother, to leave the community, go out on your own, and create a place where, if those siblings, at some point, those siblings get to a point where they're like, we want to leave too. You're showing them by example, and you have a place for them. That is easier. If he went in there to the prophet and started throwing punches and dragging his sister out, there would be other righteous men around that would physically probably harm him or put him in his place, or it's it's a scary environment to live in. And so a lot of times you as a young man are just as scared as stepping out of line and doing that. You would rather just leave and build to show your other siblings that you could leave, and then create something for them to come out.
And there's something to be
hard
said,
to fight with inside of it.
Right. There's something to be said about that, about setting an example for other people that you can leave.
Yeah.
Because we just don't see that example very often. I never saw that example. I was the first one to do it. And so there is something to be said about that. I guess it goes back to the 4-minute mile theory that I talked about a couple lives ago. Nobody ever believed a 4-minute mile was possible. And then the minute someone did it, now the 4-minute mile is broken all the time. And so I feel like there's something to be said about setting that precedence that yes, you can leave. Now people do it all the time.
Yeah. There's stuff that goes on within these communities too. Now that I'm out of it and looking back, we called them blanket parties. We knew people within the community that had received blanket parties where it's hazing. It's in military and school and things like that. Those are considered hazings, which puts those persons back in line.
Yeah.
And so they don't speak out, or they don't act out against, okay, this is, I mean, this is wrong. You can't do this. And you act out. Especially you're not supposed to get physically aggressive with somebody of higher ranking within the community, for sure. And so if somebody behaves poorly, especially as young men, you get hazed. And so, and there was always the threat of it. I grew up with the threat of being put back into place if I stepped out of line. So it is one of those things where you just grow up going, I kind of has an eye on you. It's a small town, small community. So
Right. So no, and then you do create a safe place for people to come out too. Jaden Jeffs also did a video on it. That documentary was intense. I look forward to any videos and collabs you guys do about it. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to, it is a 4-part series. So we're going to make a couple of different videos on it because there is just so much that we want to talk about on it. And honestly, it got me very emotional. I understand the sexual abuse, the SA abuse, and then the shame that comes along with that keeps these people in line, keeps these people tracked. Again, I agree with Plig Kid 69 here. The documentary made me sick. I sure hope parole isn't granted for that sicko. And that I understand that because I feel like I experienced some of that myself, where I was forced into doing stuff that went against. Oh, did we lose our sound? What happened here?
Can you guys hear us? My thing's going all the way up.
Yeah, or nothing's changed on our end. So hopefully you guys can still hear us. Okay. Exit. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why we lost our sound like that. Sorry.
Yeah, loop tape. I like that one.
Oh, let me get back up here. I would like to see the documentaries do a better job of explaining and exploring the indoctrination experience. It's a critical piece of all these stories and understanding.
Understanding the people involved.
And understanding the people involved.
Yeah.
That's why we want to pick it apart too, is because we want to go over what we understand the psychological are based on our own experiences, what we want, because I feel like I do understand the being forced to do certain sexual activities because I had to, because my husband required it.
Yeah.
And then the shame that was used to control and manipulate me afterwards, after those experiences. So that's why definitely we want to talk about it. Okay, it looks like
How
we're
did
back.
that pop up?
I clicked on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, cute little granny.
Yeah, thank you, cute little granny, for becoming a member. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We do. So how we do our lives is we try to get all the super chats first, all of our members' comments next. Next, and then and then if we have time or whatever, anyone else's comments. Let's see, the sequel to Keep Sweet, Trust Me, I'm a Prophet, I think. Oh, we might have to look into that one. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
Might.
And I don't even know her name. This is why I want my notepad to write down the stuff. But there was one lady in there that was like, well, the prophet said that we weren't supposed to be having children, shouldn't be having sex while he was in jail and everything. And then these guys are having children. And that right there was like, oh, so that started the shunning process. All those people that were sitting around not having sex because the prophet told you to. And here's all the evidence of these young kids coming up that people aren't obeying the prophet. Yeah. Opened it up for Sam Bateman to come skipping in there and become the new prophet.
Well, one of the things that we were taught, and they touched on this briefly, is that I've been taught this my entire life, is that there should never be a year that goes by that a child is not born under the covenant of plural marriage.
Yes, plural celestial marriage.
Yeah, plural celestial marriage. The documentary is called Trust Me, a False Prophet of the Lord, or something like that, on Netflix. And so we were taught this. So for Warren Jeffs to put out a decree that nobody can have, there's no more marriages and no more, because if he's not having sex, you're not having sex, buddy. If he's not getting new wives, you're not getting new wives. And so for him to do this is complete contrary to what we were taught our entire lives. So when someone with the kahunas like Sam, I don't know if he has big kahunas or if he just has big stupidity. I'm going to go with the stupidity part, that he just figured he would go contrary to what the prophet said. People looked at that and went, that must come from God, because we've been taught our entire lives that we can't go a year without a child being born under the covenant of plural marriage.
Well, somebody had said in the documentary, I think, that he had been reading through Warren's journals, Warren's stuff, Warren's playbook on how to become a prophet. That's what I'd like. How to Become a Prophet by Warren Jeffs. And he followed suit by suit and became his own prophet for a bit. So until he went down. Next one that they probably need to get together and write is How to Become a Prophet and Not Get Thrown in Jail. So that's I think Warren's working on that one in prison right now. So
so I definitely feel like that's what we have talked about, is just the psychology behind why people do what they do. And then of course going into Montana and talking to our sister and brother-in-law and stuff about the psychology of why. There's an LDS family. What?
Warren just finished the book, How Not to Get Thrown in Jail, and it just opened up. Don't be a child molester. Yeah.
That goes
very simple.
Yeah, right. There's an LDS family on the new season of Love on the Spectrum. I didn't know a new season came out. We love that show.
Dang it.
They briefly discussed that it was hard to feel their daughter was accepted by all. Seems very religious nonetheless. Yeah. I'll definitely have to check that out. We did not know a new season had come out. So yeah, the psychology behind it all is very interesting to us, and so we want to go through and pick some of that apart. Um, because I feel like it's so easy for the world to look at this and go, how can you be this dumb?
Yeah.
How can you be? But one of the things that is so true is, especially in Short Creek, is that Short Creek is one of the most isolated communities in the United
Yeah.
States. And they don't know any outside teaching. So when you grow up and this is all you're taught, and again, I had made a video about this when I very first started our channel, and it was like, because I was talking about the lack of respect towards women and how women were treated like property. And some of the people who commented on it are still deep, deep, deep into the religion. And they're like, I've never been property. My husband loves me. And they came at me pretty hard about it. And I was like, so then I did a follow up number two and was just like, I understand that that's how you feel because that's all you've ever known. If you have never known what it feels like to be treated with respect, you wouldn't
Mhm.
know that you were being disrespected. And that is, and I still feel that way. These people don't know what it is like to not be completely abused. And even when you get out of it, your nervous system can be I know so many people like this. Their nervous system has been so dysregulated that peace and calm feels abnormal to them. And
Mhm.
so then they create chaos around them because because that feels scary to have peace and calm. Their nervous system has been in fight or flight their entire lives. And so they don't know what calm and peace and alignment is. And that feels scary to them. So then they create the chaos.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, just we raised our children different. If that same scenario had gone on with our kids, the
Yeah.
older brothers would have just went crazy. Absolutely not, because the way we raised them. But I feel like being raised in these communities, you were taught not to question what leadership said.
Right.
So, yeah. So then those people are watching these young, uh, they're judging Sam Bateman for having the young brides, even though the prophet that's in jail had the same scenario. So it was not necessarily judging that, but that they were judging that they would judge him because they didn't feel like he had the authority of what he was doing
Right.
from their point of view, even though they watched their last prophet with the authority to do it,
Do the
do the
same thing.
same thing. And they tend to uh, turn a blind eye on it. And then I wanted to put Plinkett on there too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Thank you. This would be amazing to watch. They
yeah.
should put Sammy B and Warren in a cell together and see who has the power. A wizard's duel.
Yep. That would be
That
amazing.
would be awesome to watch. That would be funny.
By the power of the priesthood.
I think that would be fun.
Throwing words at each other.
Yeah.
Um,
And I agree with this. It was excruciating how long it took law enforcement to act, too. Again, because the law enforcement was, I believe, part of the community at
well,
first.
she said that they hadn't, the law enforcement had not been being controlled since 2019 or something like that. Or
Okay,
2019.
but she says that,
But
but at the same time, when you're born and raised in this, and this is the,
yeah, I would like to see how that law enforcement, how was he raised?
yeah,
Was he a part of it? And no longer a part of it? Yeah, it'd be
yeah,
curious to see because it was disgusting.
it
So
made me, and I agree with this. Chaos can be an addiction. And this is where I get frustrated sometimes with myself because I feel like it is an addiction for some people. And then they want to pull you into their chaos. And I feel like that's where some of my triggers have been coming up lately, is that chaos is addicting for some of my family members. It absolutely is. And when it is an addiction for them, then they want to create it around. And I have let myself get pulled into that at times. And it's very, then I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know better. What am I doing? And again, then I get to take a step back and look at why did I let that trigger me and why did I get sucked into that? And so it's just another healing opportunity for me to take a step back and look at it. And
Thanks,
there's
Kelly.
for what?
She's who we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about. Trust me,
trust
false
me,
prophet.
trust me, false prophet.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting documentary. Um, the way that they put it together, and I'm just so proud of people who genuinely want to do what's best for other people.
Hi, Sydney, Australia.
Oh,
It's amazing.
what'd you say? There's somebody from Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, hi, beautiful people from Sydney, Australia.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the proper title. I know. I'm like, I was going to pull it up on my phone so that we had it. But I think
We were
that's
going to do a kind of series on it, and that's why I want to get my notes.
we
So
want
we'll
to
have
be
the
able.
proper title, the different names. I wanted to write those all down too. So
Yeah. I don't. Okay. When the Brown family got the polygamy rules changed from a felony to a misdemeanor, was that part of the problem? I don't feel like it is, but again, there's a difference between making polygamy legal and making it just not illegal. And so I feel like their goal in making it not illegal was that more people would hopefully come and speak
come
up.
forward.
But again,
there wasn't.
they didn't legalize
Yeah.
it. They just made it so that it isn't illegal.
Their goal was to, if it wasn't a felony, because a lot of people within the community didn't want to speak out because then it outed them that they were a part of the community and may be polygamous, and that was a felony against them. And so they were really, really quiet. But since that has been changed, they've been looking for evidence that people are
More
coming
people
out,
yeah.
will speak out, and that evidence isn't there.
Yeah.
So did it change? We don't know. It's probably going to take a whole generation. It just doesn't change overnight. It's going to take a whole generation of kids growing up going, oh, it's not a felony anymore. So it might be the next generation that gives those children the idea that, no, we can go talk to the police officers. We're not afraid of them because it's not a felony. Or wives that are just getting married now, after this goes, okay, now something's going on within, I can leave and I can go talk to the police officer. So it's going to take a generation, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We don't know. So
yeah.
I just know that we were trained up as children not to speak. If we spoke to a police officer for any reason and it was found out, our parents were going to go to jail.
Yep.
And that's what we were taught over and over and over and in fear. So we were scared. And so maybe these children or the children that are in the AUB now are being taught, I'm sure they're being taught the same thing, but maybe it's like, well, it's just a misdemeanor now. So
yeah. And Tammy says legal or not, it still can't be with children. Exactly. And I think in the state of Utah, they made the law, if you are a certain age, the person cannot be more than 4 years. The person you're going to marry cannot be more than 4 years older than you. We need to learn 16. The law a little bit better. We don't know it.
Yeah.
Definitely need to educate ourselves a little bit on that. When Keep Sweet came out, I heard how they all had an accent that I couldn't recognize at all. And they sounded kind of old timey when I realized how isolated folks have been in the FLDS. And I agree with you. That's one of the triggers for both of us in trying to educate ourselves, is because I feel like it's a laziness to properly say a complete word. And so things are just like dropped off. Like, well, we were hoping they were going to come hunting instead of and so go ahead.
And there's a lot of the study is scripture based. And so thous and thines. And,
we did a lot of every time I said a prayer, it was these and thous and though, and they, and we did
worshipful Father, all sorts of good lines that, hey, this doesn't really work on the outside. We sound like we're quoting Shakespeare or something like that.
Yeah.
So speaking Old English, So,
So I notice when it is definitely a trigger for me, because when I get nervous, it's a trauma response. There you go.
mhm,
When I get nervous, I'll start to drop off my letters and words and I don't complete them. And that like just barely, I don't
mhm,
complete them. I say I don't complete And so it's one of the
mhm.
things that we have
There you
tried to
go.
be very cautious about in educating ourselves, because I
Mhm.
don't want it sounds slightly ignorant, and no offense to anybody. I mean, I've spoken that way a good chunk of my life. Yeah, old English is
Well,
exactly.
it's weird too because then you get back up in the community and it's a different it's a unique language.
Yeah.
You come out in the world, you use all sorts of spicy language, stuff like that, and then you get back up in the community and you using "gosh darn it"
I
and
even noticed that
yeah,
myself
different
this weekend at some of the events that we went
verbiage
to.
that okay, we gotta start speaking
Except for that
old plig again.
we were in a
So
Catholic church and I dropped something. I'm like, "Oh, hell."
yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, oh hell, I'm in a church. I can't say what." And then I just,
And
yeah.
she wouldn't even have noticed it talking in the house here and around. But all of a sudden you get back in the community and you're dropping words that haven't been heard that community for a while. So
Yeah, gets a little spicy,
yeah.
colorful language. What's funny is I was at a grocery store once with my daughter, and she was probably, I don't know, 16 or 17, and um something happened and my Tourette's kicked in and I just said every swear word in the planet. I didn't even think about it, right? And apparently there were some people next to us and my daughter's like, "Mom, you just dropped an F-bomb like it didn't even matter," and walked away, and these people are standing over here so offended. And yeah, I didn't mean to, but in the community definitely. And I didn't think about it inside the church. So here we are in a Catholic church and I'm saying, "Oh hell." And yeah, I caught myself. I I absolutely agree. And
Well, I get within 20-foot radius of my mom and I see my language changes.
yeah.
So
But I
yeah,
feel like it's a very lazy way
say
to talk,
say so.
because again,
Yeah,
not
just
trying to
quick.
diss on anybody, or it's just a lazy way to talk, to not be clear in your pronunciation of your words. Um let's see. I want to get to this one.
Well,
What?
I feel like sometimes, especially when we get into the community, it's almost like they consider it's a more uh, righteous way to talk, or there's a different way of talking that's more. You got to throw in a few of these and thines and thous, and to show that you're more religious, that you've been reading the scriptures and things like that. Their prayers can be very elaborate um, with those in it, so that people around you know that you have studied the scriptures and you know
You're
all of
educated.
the yeah, you're scripture educated. And so, and you want to talk that way. You want to talk and throw in a few uh, uh, scripture based old English words so that people are going, oh, okay, this guy's very educated and righteous about the
In his
gospel.
scripture.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
says somebody says, you should have added a Hail Mary or full of grace. See, I
mhm.
wouldn't have even known that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
What I did find interesting, however, and again, we won't go into too much detail out of respect for my brother and his bride, um, is that how similar some of the ceremony processes are in the Catholic ceremony and the AUB ceremony. I was very surprised.
there's a lot of
There was some
similarities.
very similar things that happened, and I was like, "Oh wait, oh wow." And so I feel like, yeah, I
Mhm. Some of their prayers, things like that. So
who was it that was
different.
saying that? Who Somebody was just saying that if you don't like your God,
Yeah,
we were having that
yeah.
was said at dinner last night. It was like, if you
Well,
don't like your God, then just change it.
that was on Pop Psych. Uh,
No, it was we said it at dinner last it was at
okay.
dinner last night, and he's like, "If you don't like your God, then just change it.
Yeah.
Then just change your God." And I was
Yep.
like, That's interesting because how many times has that done that? So now you've got a Catholic version of a ceremony, you get an LDS version of a ceremony, you get an AUB version of a ceremony, you get a Protestant version, and they all have
Masonic.
Masonic, and
Yep.
they
They're all
Baptist,
very
whatever
similar.
religion you are, and you're going to get little glimmers or little, pieces of the same thing because they all derive from this, from
Mhm.
a one
Yeah.
main,
Yeah. Somebody wrote the book on it. They've all kind
right.
of worked. I mean, it's even taught within the religion that these ceremonies go all the way back to the uh, King Solomon temple.
Yeah,
So
right. I
same
wanted to get
things.
back to this comment too because I agree with this. Oh, come on.
Does the AUB kneel and stand as much as the Catholics? No. I got my burpees in that day. That was a good.
That was
That was a good day.
I did not know that we were going to be doing that. It was
No, they
very
do
interesting
not.
to me.
We'd have a lot more healthy AUB members if that was the case. That was a good workout. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
Wait, I want. Oh, come on! I keep passing. Right as I find it, it just jumps again. Might not be able to put it up here, but I wanted. Okay. It's also extremely difficult to wake up to the falsity of a prophet or a religion or a group when it means that you've been abusing children rather than doing what God wanted you to get into heaven. And that Julia on the documentary, when she woke up to that, we're the parents. We should have been making sure that our daughters were protected. We're the contributing abusers. And honestly, her husband went to jail for 25 years. He deserves to.
Yeah.
He absolutely deserves to. And so that's interesting to me when you finally do wake up and realize you were the abuser. And I feel like too many times we want, again, and especially when you're in a cult, you want to turn and put that responsibility on someone else. You don't, well, I was just doing what I was told. I was just, guess what? A lot of people in World War, a lot of people in Hitler's day said that too. And that doesn't always fly.
Yep.
You have to be responsible for what it is you're doing. And so I appreciate that she realized that and then wanted to correct that, because too many times people in this religion, they don't want to correct it. They don't want to own anything.
Thanks, Kimberly Crowley.
Yeah. But it was also said, I know.
I was just giving you some reference.
No, I appreciate that. I was like, I heard this the other day and I don't remember where we heard it. Okay. Saw your post the other day and just wanted to say there's nothing worse than being gaslit like that from the people who are supposed to be people that love and protect you. You're helping so many people. Thank you.
Yeah. Telltale sign of a cult is when the prophet invites you in to do something that's questionable, so that he can basically hold it against you later on, that he's doing that's questionable. And, oh no, we've got to do this as a ceremony or a thing like that. That's why I question all these ceremonies. That's why I question I even questioned as I was reading through and watching stuff on the temple ceremony. Why is that bringing me in, and now it's a secret that I have to keep?
Right.
Why? What are you guys doing? You guys want a secret on me so that you guys are keeping my secrets? There shouldn't be any secrets. Let's have open communication. That's wrong. And so I feel like that is a technique that they use. He brought in these other men, discipline, shaming, but doing things that they should have known was wrong.
Yep.
Should have, and they didn't. And so they were accomplices now because they didn't dare stand up to the Lord's anointed, the Lord's mouthpiece. They were going to be damned to hell. In fact, some of them, it sounds like the two other ones, they would rather go to prison than to be damned to hell.
Right.
They're going to do what they're told. And that's, no, wake up. You got to wake up. They're going to wake up in prison sometime going, what the crap did we do? But
absolutely. I agree. Let's see. Law enforcement needs to do a lot more outreach and showing that they are a safe place in order for people to trust that it isn't illegal in the same way and that they are an option for a reach out now. What's interesting?
They actually are.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
They actually are, which in some communities, in some places, I do know that there has been some outreach outreach. I will give law some um, people within the community knew that we were polygamous kids, and law enforcement. I was friends with two law enforcement
Mhm.
people up there that were very kind to me, and reached out and if you guys need anything or stuff like that. So I, I was just had been trained to be leery of them, and later on in my life, I became friends with them. So
Yeah.
I was working down in the worldly uh, businesses, and I really appreciated them coming by all the time and talking to me and
Well, even
stuff like
in
that.
the gala that we did for Holding Out Help
Yeah,
recently, they had a sheriff there,
yeah,
and in North Dakota, where the FLDS has now built another big area and ranch, he has reached out to the community there, trying to create sense of that. So there's that in that area as well. So I do feel like there are a lot more efforts that people are creating to let these communities know that there is options out there for them.
they
Um,
sound very familiar.
if you don't watch Cults of Consciousness, I highly recommend it. We do.
We
We
do.
actually did a video
Yeah,
with
we were
them. We
on
did a
them.
video and a live with her. So you can go back and watch that. I think that was probably a year ago. Maybe we did that with them.
It was one of the first ones, yeah, that you did.
Yeah,
The Gnostic Papers. I need to look
I've
those
heard
up
of
again.
those. Yeah,
I've actually heard of them. I don't know if I was reading them. I don't know if I'm reading them right now. I'd have to look at my thing. I
yeah,
am reading some pretty good information somebody sent me, and I'm loving it. So
yeah. Thank you.
thanks,
Um,
Spooky Micah. I'm reading your stuff. So
high controlled groups also intentionally make people learn basically a second language to reinforce isolation from others and often
yeah,
to avoid law enforcement from easily understanding the abuses. I would agree with this completely.
and you see that in absolutely this documentary we saw. You see how the young wives are talking
Yeah.
while they're on the show or while they feel like they're being filmed for a documentary to show how
Well,
amazing.
we know how we did it.
Yeah. And so you'll actually see that in this documentary because they will talk a certain way within their church group, within the stuff, but then they speak another way out in public. The venom that they speak towards the police officers or who are taking them in, that's then they get ferocious. They start calling them names. They'll use the all of the F words, all of the language um, to try to lash out and to put the law enforcement people in their place. You will be giving us our prophet back, our husband back. You're this, and they talk very that they would never speak that way um,
Yeah. And
within the community. They speak differently outside
you
of the
bastards,
community. You
yeah,
that would be like
because they
inside
can
of the
speak to the
community.
Gentiles that
Yeah,
way
because
because you're
they
not.
speak to them that way because they're trained that we are the higher people, and sometimes the Gentiles need to be put in their place if they're too nosy or they come too close, or you keep them at a distance, and you can do that with harsh language
Mhm.
or and again, that harsh language, they learned it from somewhere. That's the harsh
Yeah.
language of discipline.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see the different personalities, how they switch from sweet and kind and all this stuff to very
The Lord knew I
angry.
needed to be with him. The
So
Lord
they're
knew
right.
I needed to be with Father.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Lord, and then they sing their sweet songs, and then the police officers show up, and they're like, "You."
yeah.
Yeah,
Then they
somebody
rage. They're
that was very
righteous.
surprising in the documentary when she started cursing like that.
Yeah.
Again, this is another reason why we say I don't feel like the Browns purposely meant to deceive. This is just what we were trained to do.
Mhm.
We were trained to put on a camera face and or an outside world face, and then what really happens behind closed doors is something totally different.
Yep.
And I mean, I remember being threatened by my parents when we were being interviewed for
Yeah.
magazines, when we were being interviewed for stuff like, or, you know, where our family was, you put on a certain, because the outside world does not deserve to know what actually happens behind closed doors in
Yeah.
your own home
And
or
yet,
community, not even your own home.
yet those little kids, I mean, some of those 11, 12, 14-year-old little girls, they're lashing out, and they learn that is the discipline, that's the shaming, that's the putting you in your place as you're growing up to keep you in line. So it's not unique to them. They've learned that, and so now they're turning what they have learned, they're the authority, they're going to be putting the police officers or the Gentiles in their place the way that they've been trained, and that they've been disciplined growing up too. So to see 11-year-old girls yelling at the cops, yeah, that's
The
how
piss and vinegar coming
that's
out of
why
them was stunning.
they've had that same yelling at them, that they need to be
Yeah.
obedient to their husband, that they need to listen to, you are going to go over there. They might have had these reservations, but there's a fear of, if I disappoint, I'm going to be yelled at like that. So they will go over and be obedient to their husband. And they absolutely believe that their dad would never send them over there if it wasn't God's work. And so got to listen.
Right.
And it's a unique way to grow up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Somebody says, "Hey, Mel and Corey, could you weigh in on the Joseph and Kendra Duggar situation?" And then it says hand pink waving. We actually
Okay.
can. We just haven't had time to watch it. And again,
Yeah, we're
we've
gonna catch
never
up.
watched even one single episode of the Duggars. So we don't know. The only thing we've ever watched was the Shiny Happy People, and that just lit us up. And so we just haven't had the time to sit down and watch it. And but yeah,
Well,
I wouldn't mind digging into it.
yeah.
It does get into heavy topics for sure, but they're topics that we have to talk about, I feel like, and they're topics that unfortunately, again, you know, people say, "Oh, the AUB is known for the FLDS is known for underage brides. The order's known for what is it? Incestual
Incest.
relations. AUB is known for child abuse." And yet some of
There's
the
samples of it in there.
SAing abuse that is happening in this documentary, they don't realize that it's abuse because this is how they were trained their entire
Mhm.
lives. Again, the Duggars don't realize, I don't think to some degree, the level of abuse that they are experiencing because this is how they've been trained their entire lives. They don't see it until we get out into the outside world.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of the sexual abuse that I experienced growing up. Until I got out into the outside world and then realized just how severe it was.
They're called different names. I mean, like, my example is, we were afraid of blanket parties. When I got out into the outside world and started seeing
Realized that
things
was
go,
illegal.
I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's hazing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's, but if you were say, yeah, you guys go and haze your, no, we don't. We don't do that. We've got a re-education, or they use these mild sounding things, that have the same techniques as hazing, abuse, all of these. Well, those are hard words, hard outside world words, and we don't use those things. And so
Right.
when you go and say, "Hey, were you within communities like this, uh, sexually abused?" That seems so harsh to them. They're like, "No, that never kind of happened to us." Okay, let me rephrase that.
Were you
Were
10
you
and
encouraged
right.
to have righteous relationships with your senior citizen husband at and to have children at a very young age? Well, yeah, I was encouraged to do that. That was okay. Well, that's what we're talking about, and they don't know how to.
Right.
It's something that you're asking the question wrong. Wrong. They don't understand that that's what that is. So
Right.
we didn't understand a lot of the outside worlds and
Because
what
we
it
didn't
actually
know it
meant.
as abuse. We
Yeah.
didn't, because that's how we were trained and raised.
Okay, tell me what hazing is. Oh, oh yeah, I recognize
Yeah, I
that.
guess I was raised my whole life.
Yeah. So that's something we did.
Right.
Have you been sexually abused? No, oh, that's what it looks like. Yeah,
I guess I
then
was.
I
I was
was.
unaware. Yeah. Have you
So
ever seen the
it's
episode of
horrible.
Judge Judy where Tom Green and a few of his wives were on it? One of the wives on the documentary was very sweet. On Judge Judy, they all had a backbone. Again, yeah, because you
Yeah.
can speak to the outside world that way. You don't speak to your husband that way. You don't speak to the leadership that way.
Yeah.
That's when you use your baby sweet voice. But the outside world does not deserve that baby sweet voice.
Have you seen it? I don't think I've ever
I've
seen
never
that one.
seen that.
Yeah,
I've never
seen
seen the
that
Judge
one. I'd
Judy.
love to see those.
No,
So,
but nonetheless, the women can get in there and speak harshly because that is how you speak to Gentiles. That's not how you speak
yeah.
to righteous people.
Don't
And
make
okay,
me a
so
victim, sweetie.
yeah, Loop Tape says there's so much coming out right now in the high controlled group, cult, religious abuse world. It's overwhelming and also so important that the truth is coming out. I really agree with this. And I feel like this is one of the reasons why we are going through, especially me,
Mhm.
going through this right now with feeling the shunning, feeling the judgment, feeling the overwhelmness, feeling that, I don't like to feel it. I don't like the feeling when my family withdraws love like that. I don't, or people that I thought would have my back are the ones who are actually out there with the knife in it.
Mhm.
And that's been really hard for me to go through. But I feel like you're absolutely right. This is coming out right now. And so this is something that I get to heal right now so that we can keep talking about it
Yeah.
and we can keep bringing light to it. Because honestly, this weekend, I was very stunned and very hurt over some of my family members that I thought would have had my back were the ones that were actually putting the knife in my back. And I didn't even know. I had no idea till this weekend. Yeah. And you pulling that knife out
Thanks. I
and
don't need
healing
you
from it.
having
Yeah.
my back anymore.
Please don't have
Kinda
my back
hurts.
anymore. Please don't. Because
Yeah.
yeah. And so I feel like you're absolutely right. So much of this is coming out and we have a voice, unfortunately, due to experience. And so I feel like we get to heal through some of this so that we can keep speaking up, so that we can keep talking. And it's hurt my heart, especially over the last 2 or 3 months, to see how many people I thought actually really truly had my back. And instead they're so committed to the chaos and they're so committed to that they are creating the chaos.
Well, somebody says, glad you both are going to continue on telling the truth. It's one of those amazing things where we're like, okay, it is. It's one where I'm like, we're going to continue talking about stuff, doing it, but do I feel comfortable being even more bold about my statements and stuff? And yeah, after this weekend, I'm like, yeah, I feel absolutely comfortable. I'm ready to start talking about everything that goes on so that people are aware of what to look for. So
yeah. And you don't know I'm about to ask you this question, so people can
great.
But in one of our last videos that we made, one of our
Mhm.
last lives, I was bringing up some old stories and we got a lot of comments about maybe they were triggering for you or that you didn't like hearing some of those old stories. How do you feel about that? Do you feel triggered when I talk about some of my old SA abuse stories or stuff like that? How do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
I don't.
Are they triggering for you when I talk about it?
No, I actually feel empathy when
Mhm.
you're talking about your stories. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We just got
So
a lot of comments where people were
no,
which I appreciate. People were
it's
very
like,
concerned about Corey.
yeah, it's just absolute empathy for everything that you went through. Now, if we can just communicate and talk about it, hopefully it wakes up enough people that that other people can be talking
Mhm.
within, so it can stop within the communities.
Right.
It can stop it. Little children can speak their mind within the communities. I feel
Right.
this is wrong, and the community actually listens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
communities have had a doubt uh,
Right.
about it.
Right.
They'd rather trust the righteous man than the little innocent kid. So,
Well, and what's interesting is I said on the video, that we were making, I'm like, oh, I've healed enough through this that I can talk about it without a lot of the emotion.
mhm,
And so don't think that I'm cold and callous to it. I've just done a lot of healing. And then we watched this documentary and then I cried
yeah,
because I was like, oh my gosh, I
uh,
know how that feels to be abused like that.
mhm,
And then have it used against you as a form of manipulation and control. And so then, yeah, watching the documentary, I'm like, ah, it did it. And I'm like,
yeah,
wait a second, I was just over here saying in one hand that I could talk about it without the emotion, and now here I'm crying about
yeah.
it because my heart hurts for these people who are still in it and experiencing it.
And I wish I could say I could hear it without the emotion, but I guess the emotion still gets me like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So no, we will be speaking out more about
yep,
this because this is coming out more and more. And I agree with you. This is starting to become, it's coming out a lot more everywhere. And there needs to be strong voices. There
yeah,
needs to be stronger people that have the empathy for the people who are going through it and have maybe some of the understanding. And we do. And we will and we are going to keep speaking out of it
okay,
out about it. And I feel more empowered after this weekend and learning some of the things that I learned about myself and having the support system that I feel like I had
mhm,
this weekend. Because at one point this weekend, I just, without question, I just looked at Corey and I said, I'm done. I've done what I've came to
yeah,
accomplish. I'm done. I have to leave right now. And without question, and I said, but if we do it, we got to go. Like, we just have to make it happen. And Corey's like, let's go. What do you
yeah.
need? Let's go.
Let's go.
And so knowing that I have that support system to say, okay, this is without questioning me and
Mhm.
without, and so, yeah, we definitely will be speaking out more about it. So that's why I feel like some of these
E
things are coming up for me. They're not just willy-nilly throwing, just things I got to heal through. They're purposeful and I'm grateful for that.
especially now that this weekend was amazing. Or because now I know who's watching our show and they still have access to the phone tree so they can gossip within the
Yeah.
community, which is amazing because the other side of the coin is a lot of people that heard the gossip. Oh, I want to come and talk
Yeah.
to us. And so, and are now watching too. So thank you. Welcome all the new followers, those that I didn't think were watching. Welcome.
Yeah.
So uh, enjoy having you here. Twist it and send it around the AUB because all that does is get people to come to verify, and they get to watch our stuff. And then they reach out to us and tell amazing, we're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
People that I didn't think were watching, didn't think it would be an amazing job, were commenting and talking to me while I was up there going, you guys are doing awesome. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And those that were spreading it around brought us your attention,
Yeah.
your us to their attention. So thank you for the gossip. That was amazing. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep watching.
And they say
Keep the
any kind of publicity
publicity. Yeah.
is good, even if it's bad.
The phone tree is
And I agree
amazing
with
up
this,
there.
Jody. Remember, this sort of thing is not religion based. And I absolutely agree with this because honestly, I feel like there that is one thing that has been huge for us to be aware of. Even like when we watch Shiny Happy People, we had no idea that some of the stuff that happened in other religions that we're like, wait, we went through that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like,
It's a human experience.
yeah, I feel like when we have a voice, we have a platform, we're going to keep using it, we're going to keep speaking out, and I feel more empowered. And I know that the people that we stayed with are watching this, and I
Yep.
cannot tell you how
How
much just being
thankful we
around
are.
you guys all weekend empowered us and buoyed us up and made us feel loved, and we really genuinely appreciate that.
Yep.
I can't say how much we love and appreciate you. Okay, God's chosen, no matter who, at some point use their interpretation of the word to justify everything. Yep.
Mhm.
The best and the worst results, past, present, and future. Self awareness always helps. You two are amazing. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Who do we know Who is that?
It's who we stayed with this weekend.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
No.
wasn't seeing the other one, so thanks.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate Plug Kid.
I know,
He's
get us all
amazing.
emotional because
He's
we did have a good
amazing
little emotion on the way home
family.
because we're just so grateful for
All those guys.
how much you guys love us and how much you guys support us. And when it feels like the world's kicking your teeth in, it feels good to be around people who,
Yeah.
you know, especially for me lately, when it feels like the world's kicking my teeth in, with the people that I have genuinely put my life on the line at points for, because I love them so much. And it feels so betraying, I guess, to have some of that come back. And so it's really painful. But so we're going to talk for just a couple more minutes. And then we have a little guy's very first t-ball game tonight.
Yep.
We're so excited to go watch him play. He's been practicing and practicing. So we're going to be going to watch that here pretty soon.
Grandson.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Let's see. Keep speaking about your truth. You will YouTube and help all the people in similar situations. There's always another layer. Something will be triggering, but I think I missed some of that one, but thank you. And we definitely will. I feel like we are realizing just how much, just the healing that we have done, it can be universal. It's not religion based. It's not, I mean, trauma is trauma. And if you have a human body, you have experienced trauma to some degree. And I feel like that's where we're learning, is that it is not all exactly what Jody said. It's not all religion based, but we are all human based. And that's where I feel like we are learning, is that we are all human,
just
that we can love each other.
Also learning that it's some of it's generational too. The way our parents were raised versus the way we were raised, the way it is, it's a generational thing too. So
it's genuine
society thing. So
it truly is.
We're changing by talking about it. We're changing, and a lot of things are helping. It's helping us to. So I feel like we appreciate everybody that says thank you. This is helping, but it's helping us just being able to sit and talk about it and heal through our stuff.
Well, I feel like all weekend long,
you guys are our community. So.
I feel like all weekend long, it was like, I'm going to shame you two into compliance. Like, I'm going to shame you two into shutting up. I'm going to shame you two. And, you know, especially when I was like, that's not true. I'm not sure where you heard that, but that's not true. Did you watch my podcast? And it was like, I'm not going to watch that crap. And so there's like this level of shaming us into silence. And I feel like what it did is empowered us and made us walk away feeling even more emboldened in what we're doing, and that we're going to keep talking out, that we're going to keep speaking up. And there, you know, and even watching that documentary on our way to Montana, and then the experiences that we had while we were up there, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people that we've got to keep talking about these things and making them public. And so that's another reason why we do encourage people to help with holding out help. We put them at the top of all of our show notes. There is another link that we've put on there. And honestly, I can't even remember the name of the link right now. But that second link that we put, justice.org, I believe, is the link for the attorneys that they do pro bono work for these people, but there's still court costs that they have to cover. And a lot of these people just don't have that financial. So when you donate to that link, all of that goes to cover external expenses, that like constables that have to serve paperwork, or court ordered scribes that have to come in and take the notes. So there are expenses that have to be covered somehow. So that's what that link is for. If you feel like you can donate to any of them, we absolutely appreciate everyone who's donating to them. The attorney that started that is the one who's helping my mom. And that's why I said to him, we're going to put you on all of our videos from now on, because there's expenses out of pocket for my mom's case that her children, we've tried to get together. We found out my mom was wanting to put some on credit cards, and we obviously don't want her to do that. So we are trying to do whatever we can to help. And so that's what that second link is for. If you feel that you have the ability to help with that, we definitely appreciate that. What are you saying?
Nothing. Just when certain individuals were shaming, I was like, you're not my parents. They're the only ones that can shame me. So
Right. I know.
quit trying to shame me. You're not my parents.
Corey has a better
That's
sense
my
of
jobs. That's my parents' job. So
Corey has a better sense of
yeah,
humor about it than I do. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of bounced.
Yeah.
But it was tough for you because there was some trust and
That felt very
stuff.
broken.
Yeah, that felt
Yeah.
broken.
What you're doing feels so hard because it's really difficult for many reasons, specific to you as well as general advocacy and on YouTube issues. Take breaks. We will always be here for you. Sending
Oh, you guys
and
are
sending.
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we actually have taken a little bit of a break for the last 3 weeks. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm motivated and ready to go and talk about things. Yes, it's been hard. Yes, I have some relationships that were absolutely brought to my awareness that they're not what I thought they were this weekend, and that's okay. And I'm sad about it. I'm definitely going to go through a grieving process over those relationships, but that's not going to stop me from doing what we know that we're out here to do.
It's helping more, I would say.
Yeah.
And creating more connections than it is doing the damage
Yeah.
to it. And it's good to see some of the damage too. Maybe those can be healed down the road and everything, but
yeah,
people you didn't think, it was just super surprising. Okay, sweet.
Oh, now I know where you stand.
Good information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow us on Instagram, you can follow us. All of our handles are the same. Notes to Self 444. I did more updates on Instagram than I did. In fact, the brain dump video that I put on YouTube was actually almost a week old. I had put it on. I did it on TikTok and then put it on Instagram. So if you don't follow us over there, you can. That's going to be more of our daily stuff that we do. Yeah. And when we're in Montana, we don't always have signal enough to get social media. Yeah. So it's hit and miss. Like I might just go somewhere and be like, oh, I have a signal enough to drop a video really quick or drop a picture really quick. But then I don't always have like the ability to watch a video or do anything like that because it is so hit and miss on it's not like they're, out in the boonies or anything like that, but it's just they're on a mountain. And unless we're hooked up to a sibling's Starlink, we're not able. Yeah. We're not able to connect. And what's funny is, all of a sudden we'll hook up to the Starlink and then you hear our phones goes bing, 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 all these little notifications start going off. And so we don't necessarily, it feels like sometimes we tune out from the whole world while we're up there. Okay. So
thank you. So blessed.
Let's see. Evil flourishes in the shadows and in secret. So proud of your decision to continue exposing the truth. Missed you both, but wait patiently for when you are ready and able, not going anywhere. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm excited because we have some exciting things coming up that we're working on. Yeah. We have some exciting people that we're connecting with. And so I'm very excited to see where our channel is going because we are making some noise and people are hearing us, and I'm very appreciative of it. And we've had some exciting connections lately with people who want to help other people too. And I feel like that's really where we're at is what can we do? How can we show up for people? And I'm excited about that. So with that being said, make sure you follow us on our Instagram, and we will be setting out our video tomorrow. We will finish the 27 rules of celestial marriage. We just have gotten a little sidetracked, but we will.
We got a lot to work on.
Yeah.
Getting ready for
the little guys
book clubs,
T-ball game takes
T-ball.
a priority tonight. So we'll be shutting down for a couple hours to go do that. And then we'll be back. We'll drop some videos tomorrow and Friday. So watch for those. And then we will do a series on Trust Me, the False Prophet on Netflix. So anything else?
Nope.
Okay, we appreciate you guys.
The jokes.
We appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate how kind and respectful that you all are in our comment section. We really appreciate that. And again, we will see you on the next one.
Yep. Thanks, guys.